it's not even about wanting longing for it or wanting to be back there. It's more about maybe the feeling that I had and the feeling of like being at peace with like you think you're with the love of your life and you don't have to chase that anymore. And I kind of sometimes miss that, and for a while there, I try not to, but I was comparing every girl I was with to like, does she make me feel like she made me feel? And that shit's toxic, bro.
This is Sad Boy Radio.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Sad Boy Radio. We're over here in Puerto Rico.
You
I'm not gonna try to roll my R's because I understand Spanish,
Rico.
but I'm not good like that. You know what I'm saying? So
You're
I'm gonna
good,
leave it
bro.
to you. Previously, you've been featured in Rolling Stone, Me Too, Remezcla. You just recently signed to Rimas. You just recently released your single. It's not your debut single, but it's really more so of a new era for you. Your recent single, Velas. Introduce yourself, bro.
What's good? My name is Bebo Dumont. Some people call me Bebucci. Some people call me Lil Grande. And yeah, we out here trying to make it happen.
I appreciate you making time to see us out here, man. You know, like I said, Guerrera and Lauren hit me up. They said, let's do a Zoom interview. I'm like, I'll do you better. I'll meet you guys in Puerto Rico.
Of
So,
course, my guy. Any excuse to come down,
man,
bro. That's
for
what's
real,
up.
I got to go to the beaches after this. But, man, I want to start off with Rimas, right? That's a huge thing you've been able to accomplish. Rimas works with some of the biggest artists, most known, Bad Bunny. How did this relationship come about?
We've been, grinding and just doing it solo for a while. Shout out to my team. And basically it got to a point where we were trying to like, like go to the next chapter, the next stage of the career and get some more resources and we started like talking to the people, the contacts we had at different labels, different outlets, whatever. And apparently like my name had been resonating in Rimas, some of the people in like the senior management and stuff. And yeah, like I think that like the new vice president at Rimas was talking to his A&R about me. And typically people in the industry are like, yeah, yeah, sure. You know what I mean? Like, but then, like, I think they talked to him really close to like me announcing a show, uh, and he was like, "Oh, then I'm gonna go and check him out." And we met beforehand because he knows my manager, and we talked for a bit, and then he saw the show, and he was like fascinated. And next day he calls up Andres, my manager, and he's like, "Bro, I love it. Like, let's do it. Let's sign this guy." And we were in the middle of negotiating with another label, but things weren't really like going the way we. I don't know. Like it was too slow. I felt like from the get go, I wasn't gonna be like priority to these people, and so they were very aggressive about this deal at Remas. They really wanted me to join. They're trying to like they have like this vision of they don't want to be stuck or labeled as urban or like a rap reggaeton whatever label. They want to venture out to new sounds and they understand the importance of that, so they were trying to find artists that could kind of like carry the torch of that new era, so to say. And yeah, they felt strongly about me as one of those. So we made it here.
Man, I love that for you. And something you had even mentioned before is that you're not the most flashy, you're not the most pop artist, but if you come see a show of mine, you're gonna know what I am.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What is it that people see, or at least that you think that you're bringing to the stage that just makes people go like, I need this guy right now?
I have a charismatic personality, like I'm really outgoing. I'm very like I'm a clownish, like not like I ridicule myself, but I do want to make people laugh all the time, and that kind of comes through, and the musicality, like you know, it's undeniable. Like I surround myself with some of the best musicians that we have to offer, and I'm a pretty decent musician myself. I believe I sing very well. Like like a lot of people can lay down a track in the studio and and fix it in post, but when it comes to the stage, they don't really have that, either the experience or just the skill set. And then I feel like, I've proven myself, like I do this, I've done this since I was like a baby, bro. And then that also is something that people can see, and even people that don't know music, they do know when somebody is giving you what you deserve in terms of like performance. So people connect with me through that and through my energy. And yeah, I feel like also I really like the one of the most well one of the things I enjoy the most in life is being on a stage singing my songs. And I think that comes across when you see me. It's like undeniable. Like this dude is loving it and it's transmitting me this energy. So it's like there's like a magnetism, I feel.
I mean, music is you, right? You came in, you sat down, you started singing. So the fact that you bring that energy everywhere you go, it shows and it lets people know like this is what I'm about. Why did it make sense for you to finally sign to a label after all this time?
Man, honestly, like I just felt like there was more to gain than to lose. And like it gets to a point in life where like I've been doing this for a while, in different um I don't know, different senses. Like I've been an artist, I've been a composer, I've been a producer. I play right. I currently play with Cultura Profética, which is a huge band in Latin America. And yeah, I've been hustling like since I started doing this. Like I want to say maybe 2008. I've been out there, just like in bands and stuff. And it gets to a point where it's like you start to uh, you know really think about where do I want to get in life in general, what do I need to do to achieve it. And you start like, I don't know, like being more grown up about stuff. And I think a lot of artists are afraid of being in a label because they're not very sure of what they have, or they're so sure that what they have is like, I don't know, so precious that they don't want anybody to touch it. But at the same time, it's like, bro, if you're a true artist, and if you know what you have, and you have your both feet planted in the ground, you're an unmovable force, bro. And like people are gonna just try to uplift that rather than dim your light or get in your way. So why wouldn't you want extra help and extra resources to carry out your vision?
And everybody needs help. I think that something creatives and people in general forget is that you can't do it all alone. You want to be able to, right? Me, that's something I had to learn too. Because you see me right now, record, set up, everything, edit. And to a point, it's like, how much longer can I keep going like this? Because I'm going to burn myself out without the proper help. And when you have a label that believes in you, when you have people behind you that are just pushing you, like you said, I'm the person that makes things happen. They're here to enhance it.
No, and there's doors that you can't open. There's just like no way. Or maybe there's a way, but it just takes too much time, and it takes you putting yourself in a role that's not meant for you to be at. Like I'm a creator, bro, and obviously I gotta get on my entrepreneur bag or my business person bag, because this is a business and I'm trying to be professional and responsible, blah blah blah. And I gotta network, and I gotta be sociable and shit. But also I'm not a fucking business guy. I'm a creator. I wanna be in boxers in my studio making these tracks. You know what I mean? And with the band, and shooting videos and thinking about the artwork for my album, and doing a lot of things that take time and take energy, and when you're putting yourself in the position of also being like the administrator of your, you know what I mean, like it's nah, bro, it's just not, you're shooting yourself in the foot. And I think that's what they're there for. Also, I mean, different labels, they come in different shapes and sizes, and I guess it's valid. It's definitely valid to be like wary of it, because like, yeah, some of them suck, and at the end of the day, labels are people, and some people suck. You know what I mean? Like, but if you find yourself surrounded by the right people, sorry, uh, you're dude, you're gonna be good, bro.
I think people also look at you as more official when you have someone behind you, right?
Word.
So, me doing everything by myself, talking to publicity companies and managers, if I had a manager dealing with those managers, people are going to be like, oh, we can't even talk to the main guy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Why was it so important for you to sign to somebody that is historically promoting Latinos?
Obviously, homegrown is always gonna be priority for me. Like, I could, and I definitely thought about, you know, sometimes like I think about my music, like where I come from musically and where I go musically. It's not necessarily like tailored for Latinos, like for, you know what I mean? Like it is, but at the same time it's not. And I did think about like maybe I need a label and a team of people focused on bringing this music elsewhere that maybe connects more with. But then thinking about the history of Rimas specifically, like what they've built from the ground up, what they've done for artists here, and the fact that they're still here, they're still betting on the talent here. And also like, bro, I can go right now, we finish this, and I'll go knock on that door. Yo, and they're there, bro. And I can go get some fucking coffee and talk to some people. You know what I mean? And that's like that, you can't beat that, and it's not like the main reason obviously, but it definitely weighs into it, because it's like access and the feeling of belonging. It's definitely a plus.
Mm, I think that's the key word right there, belonging, right? Because you want to feel like the people that, again, are behind you are with you also. And each part of our identity is shaped by the people that are surrounded by us. I think something that happens over in the mainland US, right, is as Latinos, we're taught to assimilate into the culture, right? So being able to see the resurgence that Rimas brought in 2017, 2018, and how important reggaeton and all of the Latino culture is to America now was so amazing. You went to Berkeley, so you understand, what I might be saying a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that was for me, that was definitely a moment of like, so obviously I grew up here, and I'm very influenced by music here. I very much participate in the music here. I love it, I consume it, etc. But I also love a lot of music that's not from here, and it's from maybe US or London or France or Brazil or Africa. And I feel like when I went there, I was looking and like longing for, like, to connect with that other part or that other music that I liked, and I was trying to like get more submerged into that. And when I was there and I saw the way people over there loved and appreciated the music that I grew up with and the music from where I'm from, it's like, oh shit. Like, it's not that I don't need it, or this is wrong, but I should appreciate more what I have, because these people are going nuts for it. And it definitely brought me closer to my roots, in the sense of like, you're always like, you don't always know what you have until you lose it type shit, you know? So, yeah. So, like, tying that into what you're saying about the US, like I do believe we're in a moment where like the music that comes from the US is not what's dictating the sound like worldwide. It's not like it used to be for a long time, and now it's like they don't even care if they know the lyrics or not. They're just like, yo, this is a bop, bro, and like this is a fucking mood.
That's actually funny because I met this white boy today from Pennsylvania. I was like, yeah, Bad Bunny tickets are like $30. He's like, I have no clue what he's saying, but I rock with the music.
Yeah, bro, it's a feeling, it's a mood, it's a vibe.
Do you think that there was ever a time where you almost felt like you were losing your identity being in the US?
Not really.
How did you manage to stay so close to that Latino identity?
I mean, that's like a complex thing for me because I don't necessarily feel like me personally, I don't feel like identity is based on tradition per se. You know what I mean? Like it's not like, oh, I'm Latino, so I gotta like salsa or merengue. You know what I mean? Like I do love it. I love it. And when it comes time to flaunt it or to be like, oh shit, that's my shit, blah blah, I'll go in. But it's not like I feel like I need to be this or that to identify as a Latino or whatever I am, right? But I think in terms of like specifically what you're saying, I think it's kind of like the same answer I gave before, like understanding the way people over there like appreciate or like are fascinated by what I am or what I come from. It's a source of like feeling pride and just holding on to that.
So around that time, you joined the group. Uh, how do you say it? I don't know.
Cultura Profética.
Cultura Profética.
Yeah.
How have they helped you grow as both a person and as an artist?
So they were like my official first like professional gig, like like really really professional. Like I've worked with a lot of artists, but that was like my first like I'm part of this group that's making it. It's one of the groups that represents us like worldwide, like on a high note, right? So that was like a learning curve for me in terms of like how this shit actually work in terms of like how do you produce an event, how do you manage a group, how do you deal with being the boss of uh musical group, how do you deal with touring, what's the how why do I don't know, a classic one, like let's say we're touring with this other band and this band has a feature with our band and people expect that they're doing the song. It's like nah, because they have a flight they need to catch. You know what I mean? Like shit's so real, shit's so like down to earth in the sense of like it's as simple as that, bro. Yeah, we're not gonna see your show because we just got in. We need to rest, eat, take a shower, and then we'll make our set time. You know what I mean? I'm not going to the festival at 6 p.m. to get on your show, and so stuff like that, little stuff like that. That's when you're outside of the bubble looking in, you don't really realize, and you're like just a fan being like, "Oh man, why didn't they link? Or why didn't?" You know what I mean? And it's like so much shit. I've been there for 11 years, so you could imagine all like the little gems that I've learned about along the way. And as a person, I mean, again, 11 years. So, and these guys are, I grew up with them and they are, close to their 50s. So they were kind of like, they've kind of been like big bros, like big cousins type shit. Like they've taught me a lot, even like if it's indirectly, like indirectly, sorry, they've taught me a lot about how to, conduct myself and also what to do and what not to do. Like, oh shit, you fucked up there. I'm not doing that.
What would you say is one of those? If you can say.
Played the fifth.
If not,
nah, I'm fucking with you.
what do you? All right, I'll give you a different one. What do you feel like is the most important lesson they've taught you as far as in being a person?
I would guess balancing real life and tour life. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen them be there as parents, be there as, you know, husbands, whatever, showing up to their shit, like managing, like time managing, and that balance between our real day-to-day life and what is expected of us as artists and as people who tour and are constantly on the move. I think seeing that up close and how they've managed to manage that is it has stuck with me on a very deep level.
Do you feel like that's something you've struggled with previously?
For sure, yeah. I mean, I'm not a parent myself, but there's definitely things that I felt like relationships in general in my life that I've maybe not haven't take care of that well because I'm just focused on my shit. And it's definitely been a lesson like, yo, you can't, at the end of the day, like, this is the real life and this is your support system. And this is like the people who, when this all fades out or fades away, like, they're still gonna be there if you take care of them, you know? Um, yeah. And mostly like just balancing in general, like, because like I play an important role in that band, but I'm also trying to do my career, and I haven't been the best at balancing that, and I feel like I've wasted some time not prioritizing my stuff. And recently, I've been more like, oh shit, like if you want to do this, you gotta hustle. Like it's not like a casual thing. It's like I'm on 24/7, bro. Like I just gotta go. Um, that's been something like in more recent years I've really put in front of myself like you want this, you gotta go get it, my G.
I think it's something that we all have to sit and think about often, right? For me, you talk about the fact that you have to balance real life and you have to balance career. That's how a lot of people lose the love of their life. I'm not gonna lie,
Straight up, bro.
right? And even for me sitting here, being in Puerto Rico, I'm like, damn, I get to do all this shit. But there's still that one person that I'm like, damn, I threw that away for this. And this is supposed to make me happy, right? Being able to do this, I'm supposed to be like, damn, I got to do everything I ever wanted to do. But when you're missing the people that you love and the people that you want around you, it's like, well, why couldn't I have both?
It's real, bro. It's
Yeah.
real. I've been there. I've been there. I'm currently like basically on that on a very deep level in terms of like I'm 30, I'm turning 35 this year, and I'm like, I'm not old, but I'm not a little boy, bro.
Mm.
So it's like, where do I see myself? What in the future? That's not a very distant future. Like, what are the things that are really important and that are gonna fulfill me whenever I don't want to really do this shit anymore, or whenever I. It's not even about not wanting to do it, but it's about what do you want to get home to? Like an empty house and the office, or you know what I mean? Or, and it's definitely like like a challenge. Just putting aside like what you feel you're entitled to or what you feel like you're put here to do, and and making some space for other people and other priorities, and maybe like sometimes being the the supporting actor, you know, in the
Mm.
movie. Because obviously you're the lead actor. It's about you. It's the you show. But then it's like maybe I need to step back a little bit. If I want the movie to not be a monologue, my G, like, you know what I mean? And it's definitely a challenge, and I've been there. I've lost people. I've questioned then afterwards, and sometimes I've been like, no, yeah, definitely, fuck that shit. Like I needed to be here, but it does present its challenges.
And I mentioned all that to say, not to like, this podcast is a reality of our lives, right? So because you see me in Puerto Rico, because you see me doing all this cool shit, I still want the people to know like it took things to get here. And even though I have this, that doesn't mean that there's not negative emotions that come with it. You mentioned that, you've been thinking a lot about what you want life to look like. What is it that's going to fulfill you at the end of the day?
I'm not sure.
You still figuring it out?
I'm still figuring. I mean, I have an idea for sure, but I guess the classic is family. Um, I do not feel it's for everybody. I do not feel it's a mandatory thing for sure. I think it's like very default that we, you know, incline to that, like gravitate towards that. But I do feel there's a reason for that because it's like biologically, like we and like spiritually and emotionally, we wanna share the love that we have to give, and what better place to deposit that love that the family you create, and like that unit that you're making sure it's like it's working, like the ecosystem, like your own system is functioning, and it's like a loop feedbacking into, like, you put the love in, you get the love out, you know what I mean? um but at the same time, like, I don't, I guess you could identify like the careers we live and the lifestyle we choose pretty much enables us and kind of require us to be selfish and like think about ourselves and our ambitions or our goals and our careers. And sometimes sometimes I question it, but at the end of the day it's like, yeah, but like it really is what I'm good at. It really is what I enjoy doing, so I gotta go after it. And so maybe this thing that I've put in my mind, that's what's supposed to fulfill me, it's an illusion, and it's not really at the end of the day gonna make me happier, just because in theory it's supposed to make you happy. Because maybe, like, you see the fucking biopics, and you don't want to be this motherfucker. Oh fuck. This guy, the Queen guy.
Oh, Freddie
Freddie
Mercury.
Mercury. My bad, people. Freddie Mercury, like you see in the movie, and he's a fucking loner, and he lost his girl, and he lost the kid, and he's surrounded by orgies and people who don't give a fuck about him if he drops some false dead. And you see that, and you're like, oh shit, like, is that what my life's gonna look like? Fuck, like, I don't wanna, you know what I mean? And then, like, you see her coming around again, and he mends patches things up, and it's like, oh yeah, like he got it back,
And
and like,
then he dies.
you know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, that might happen, that might not. Um, it's not necessarily gonna be that whole picture if you don't choose this route, but there's a bigger probability for sure that you're gonna end up a fucking loner just doing drugs, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But it's like, that's the debate in my head. It's like, what do I really want, and what are the sacrifices I'm willing to make? Because, like, if you go this route, you're gonna sacrifice most of the time what you feel like doing, your impulses. Like, oh, it's 2 a.m. I want to go out and fucking have a blast and blah, right? And maybe you can't do that if you're choosing this life. And maybe that's important to you, and you need to be honest with yourself about that. But maybe it's like, oh, like, I can't do that, but look what I have. I have a support system, or I have people in my life that love me, or I have whatever else, health. I don't know.
How much did winning a Grammy make you reflect on all of this?
It's kind of meaningless, to be honest. Like, it's a reaffirmation of, like, first of all, imposter syndrome is real, right? And when you get a Grammy, it's like, well, maybe I'm not an imposter. You know what I mean? It's good. Maybe I'm good at what I do, right? That's the first one.
Just maybe.
Just maybe. And then, overthinkers will find a way to be like, no, dude, they gave it to us because, you know what I mean? Like, no, but yeah, like, you're good at what you do, right? And then other people will know that you're good at what you do, and then other people will be like, "Oh, you should work with Bebo. Who's that? Oh, dude, he's good. He won a Grammy for this. Oh, yeah, yeah, sure, call him up. Definitely, bro. I'm not gonna, I'll fucking take that for sure. But in terms of like, I'm still doing the same shit. I'm still having the same doubts I have in life in general. I'm still. It's not like I really jacked up my prices, something ridiculous or shit like that. It's like people pay me my fucking back. Um, you know what I mean? Like it's like maybe if you get 10 Grammys, you're like, oh shit, this motherfucker.
Well,
You
you
know what I
got
mean?
two, right?
I got two bitches. No, but I don't want to seem unappreciative, especially to the people that put me in that position to get that. I definitely appreciate it, and I joke about it all the time and shit. But it definitely puts into perspective what we're talking about in terms of like that's cool. Is it life changing? Is it what comforts you on those lonely days and nights? Is it when you're sad? Is it gonna wipe your tears? Like, you know what I mean? It's definitely dope, though. I'm not gonna
It's
lie. I
amazing.
prefer to have 2 Grammys than to not have 2 Grammys for sure, my guy. Like, but yeah,
It's amazing, but it's something that so many people chase for so long, thinking that that's what's going to make them happy. People chase this idea of happiness and success and what it means to have reached the top. And when they get to that top and they realize that this doesn't fulfill me, this isn't everything I hope life would be.
I find it very hard to fall into cliches. Like, I just like I don't really enjoy them because I find them sometimes I find them like just like Hallmark bullshit, you know. But I've been really understanding lately it's about the process. You gotta enjoy the process because if you're about the results and the specific goal, that's always gonna change. It's like I got a Grammy, I got a Latin Grammy, now I want a Grammy. I got the Grammy, now I want another one. No, like I got a Grammy for being a producer. Now I want one as an artist. You know what I mean? And when I'll get one as an artist, I'll be like, oh, now I want to act and get an Emmy, or I wanna, or I wanna do this, I wanna do that. Oh, I sold out 2,000 people show. Now I wanna sell 20,000. Like it's always gonna be some next shit you wanna do, and that's natural and it's okay, and it's fine. Really, just don't let yourself be consumed by it or be like everything be goal oriented, because then you'll never enjoy the process, and when you're not enjoying the process you'll for sure not enjoy when you get to the goal because you're just thinking about the other one, and then you're being an asshole probably in the midst of it because you're so focusing on that, like the end justifies the means type shit, and then you can be an asshole to people. It's like, no, because we need to get this go bitch work, and then like, you know what I mean, and then people don't want to be around you anymore because you're a fucking asshole.
Is that why you walked away from? I mean, you still work with them, you still work with the
Yeah,
group,
yeah, I'm with it.
but you've I don't know. I don't know where I got this walked away or took a step back, but really you've pivoted more so towards focusing on your own music.
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely been like a before and after in terms of like I was way more invested in that because it's like what I had going on. And it felt like I always joke that it felt like, and maybe people even felt like I'm uh s- I'm the side project of myself. You know what I mean? And I don't want to feel like that anymore. And I've always told them from the beginning, like, yo, I'm honored to be here. I'm grateful. I'm here to work, but this is like y'all's life project. It's not my life's project, and I'm trying to make my life project. So I guess I guess the difference is it was more words than action before, and now I'm taking action into that.
You've compared your producer style similar to that of Pharrell and Rick Rubin.
I mean, that's a huge comparison, but
In what way?
in terms of like, I don't want to compare myself in terms of like I'm as good or something. It's more like the style specifically.
What's that look like?
Cause I'm not like I'm not a multi instrumentalist. I mostly play percussion instruments and I sing. I play a little bit, but I'm more like the ears guy and the ideas guy. Like you present me an idea, I'm like, oh, I see the potential. This could go this way, or it could go this way, or it could go that way. And I know what we have to do to achieve those routes. Like if we go that way, then we'll need this musician, this type of drum loops. We need blah 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 blah. Blah, you know, and I'm very good at orchestrating like structure in songs. I'm very good at like knowing what needs this. There needs to be a pause here. We should put a voiceover with a filter here. We should like I'm very good at decorating. I'm not very good at doing everything by myself on a computer or making like I know this needs to sound like this. I don't know how to necessarily work the kinks out to get there. I'll just but I'm very good at you know what motherfucker can do that real good? This guy. Let's bring him in. You know what I mean? Kanye's like that too.
I can't even say that. I was gonna say you're like Diddy, but no, we don't want to compare you to Diddy.
Nah, I mean, dude, what it is what it is, and what it's not is not. No Diddy.
During your process, what emotions are you trying to evoke from these artists?
Just like honesty, just like rawness. You know what I mean? Just like being true to yourself, being true to your vision, and just being vulnerable enough and not being afraid of showing your true self. Because I feel like that's what stands out the most. Like I'm not trying to produce somebody that's just following a trend or just it's just in it to like get a viral moment or you know what I mean? Like I'm just trying to make records that are timeless and that people are gonna like the sincerity of what we're doing is gonna come across and people are gonna connect to that.
So, what would you say is the hardest moment you've been forced to recall as an artist?
Oh, definitely like times where I've been at fault and shitty breakups and not being a good son to my mom sometimes or losing my dad or just not being mature enough to act right in a certain situation for sure.
Do you got one of those out?
I'm putting those out in my EP that's coming out in October. Yeah, it's basically all that. All that. It's coming
Oh, I
out.
can't wait to hear it then,
Yeah.
bro.
No, it's gonna be nice. It's like I have a friend that always like teases me. She's like, dude, you're like the music you're making is like, oh shit, like I'm in my feels, but I'm loving it. It's like I can bop to my feelings.
What would you say was the most difficult out of all of those to dig into?
You know, just recognizing, yeah, those moments that I'm at fault with people. Like, you know, I haven't been there the right way, or I haven't been mature enough to realize that I shouldn't have ended things like that, or I should have been more honest about shit, or I shouldn't have been such a fuckboy in that moment, bro, and just like fucking think with my head and not my other head. You know what I mean? Like shit like that.
Things change quick, and unfortunately, we can't rewrite the past. And there's relationships that we wish we could go back and fix. Even when it's like, I think that's the most fucked up part that I deal with. Like, the thing that bothers me the most is that, like, I don't want the situation back. But I do have to forgive myself for the things that I did wrong, for the things that I didn't do. And to do that, sometimes I feel like, damn, I need to offer an apology. Will I ever do it? Probably not. But I think my struggle in moving past what's happened is the fact that I haven't been able to 100% forgive myself.
It's definitely a struggle. It's an ongoing struggle. I feel, but I feel like it's also there's a lot of willpower that goes into being able to transcend those challenges and like putting yourself in the awkward or the uncomfortable situations too. Like in terms of like how you said what you said about apologies, for example. Like I've been there, I've done that, I've done it, I've reached out and be like, yo, like I fucked up. Like we could have been friends, bro. We could have and at least ended right. And I just let my pettiness and my ego get in the way of that. And I wanna offer you my sincere apology. And then like fucking scared as fuck because I'm gonna get fucking hurricane. And then she's like, nah, damn, I appreciate that. And yeah, blah blah. But I fucked up too. And we had a mature fucking relationship and ended up being friends again and like cool and like we don't have to be best friends buddies but we're good and that's the whole point we should have been good from the get-go and those moments those are little moments that I've actually had more than once and I feel like are very healthy in terms of like allowing you or helping you to forgive yourself more because like oh at least I could do this so not only did they forgive me they're allowing me to like understand that I'm not my mistakes like I'm able to learn from them and also in terms of like revisiting things like I feel like definitely you can't rewrite the past and there's stuff you wish you would have done different but at the same time I'm a firm believer of the cliche that all you do brings you to where you're supposed to be. So I'm like, like, in all honesty, like, there's relationships where I'm like, fuck, I wish I wouldn't have fucked that up. Like, I see her and I'm like, fuck, dude, like, I fumbled the bag, I fumbled it. But then I'm like, nah, bro. You know, all I've done, like, think about when you broke up, right? That was that year. And now, all you have lived in those years have formed you so much and maybe you wouldn't have lived half of that because would have been watching Netflix with this girl, you know what I mean? And like fuck that, no bro, like and she's good, look at her, she's thriving, she's fucking beautiful, she's shining, like she needed you the fuck out of her life and that's good too, you know what I mean?
Previously, you mentioned that music and songs are often a snapshot of a time in your life. I want to take it back to Los Dias. That was your first single that you released by yourself. What's the snapshot that this song brings you back to?
Well, that song is very about what I was feeling in those first months of the COVID lockdown, like the pandemic. So it's basically yeah, it's very about that, and like the feeling of being a little lost, and also about the feeling of like watching the days go by and like time in general like go by and seeing how the world and the culture is shifting and how we're more like I can't name a thousand I mean I probably can name 1,000 people I know but maybe I can't name 2,000 people I know but I have 2,000 people on my I'm following 2,000 people and it's like I don't know these motherfuckers. Like, and we're supposedly more connected nowadays, but we're actually not.
In the song, you say, I spend my days locked up here and I wonder if this will ever end, and I don't know. I spend my days locked up here and I've made friends with solitude, but maybe one day that will change. And in the meantime, I stay here singing, channeling my layman in the way I know. I translated, obviously.
Yeah. I'm like, damn, that sounds deep as fuck when you
And COVID was a time where it forced people to look within. I got skinny in COVID. I was fat, and then I got skinny, and then I got fat again, and then I recently lost some weight again. So yeah, COVID fucked me up, but it was just one of those times where it's like you gotta grow from what you are, and if you weren't okay with yourself, it really forced you to become okay with yourself.
Or to work on yourself to be okay with yourself.
I think how do you say equilibrio?
Equilibrio, yeah.
That song had a pretty similar theme to it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote it around the same time too, yeah.
Same as Llévame.
Yeah.
Man, you wrote a lot during COVID.
Dude, I wrote a lot. Dude, COVID, dude. Hot take. COVID was great for me.
It helped you win a Grammy.
Yo, like no, because my first one was before that, but it definitely like unlocked something. Um, it brought me like I was living a very fast paced life until then, and then everything slowed down, and it brought me closer to myself. It brought me to like look myself in the mirror, like and be like, yo, like, what are you gonna? How are you gonna take advantage of this time and this pace that you're enjoying now? And I don't know, like once I started writing, it just went off, and I think I found myself being able to channel a lot more of what I was living onto that because in before that I didn't really have the time to process it, and I was just like just writing whatever came to mind in terms of like, oh, this works, but it's not actually channeling anything that I'm actually living or feeling, you know.
So then what's the snapshot that Ninguna brings you back to?
Ninguna is about one of those the one that got away moments for sure. Like it was my first like serious girlfriend. We spent like 7 years together. We lived together, and yeah, I basically like once I started like with the melody, once I put words to the melody of the chorus, and it was about like ninguna is like no one basically, or like none, uh, none. But so once that was kind of like the direction I was going with, it automatically brought me to her because for a while, you know, it was a she's very present in my head, for so to say. More recently, like it's been like, yo, yeah, like yeah, like it's done. Like and it's not even about wanting longing for it or wanting to be back there. It's more about maybe the feeling that I had and the feeling of like being at peace with like you think you're with the love of your life and you don't have to chase that anymore. And I kind of sometimes miss that, and for a while there, I try not to, but I was comparing every girl I was with to like, does she make me feel like she made me feel? And that shit's toxic, bro. And so yeah, like that was a snapshot of that moment. But luckily, like I think that song made me like that was the last straw that I needed to like let out.
It be like that, man. You know, you really be in this place where I don't know if I'm ever gonna find someone like you again. And that peace, that home that I thought I had, hopefully one day, but as of right now, I don't think so, type thing.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're never gonna be that dude again. You know what I mean? Like a lot of your essence sticks with you forever, but you're changing constantly. Like I'm not the same motherfucker I was in January, bro. And it just it's decisions you make. It's like conscious decisions of like I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be this person anymore. Um and I feel like I'm not the dude. Like if I met this girl right now, we wouldn't like each other maybe, or it wouldn't work, or you know. So at the same time, like you need to let go of that feeling and be more like, yo, I'll for sure feel this way again. It's just that the what the requirements for me to feel like that are different now. The person that's gonna make me feel like that is way different now from that other one.
My guy's dropping bars.
I'll be here all week.
So the last song I gotta mention, your most recent single, Velas. What's the snapshot this one created?
All those songs except Ninguna are 2020 songs. Even if I didn't put them out.
Velas, is that old?
Yeah, Velas is 2020. I wrote that shit October 2020. Like I would say like 80% of that song was done then and there.
And COVID was good to you.
Dude, COVID was good for me. I grew. I also grew. But
You were skinny little thing back
Nah,
then?
nah, 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 nah. I was a chubby little thing, and then I became a real fat ass. No, but I'm working on it. I'm
Hey,
losing weight
that Puerto
currently,
Rican food will get you, man.
bro. It's serious. Nah, but Velas is basically like it's kind of Jeva. It's kind of like Jeva, man, in the sense of like this one girl that you're like, man, how can I like fucking get with you, boo? And yeah, it's just about that longing and like wanting to get together with somebody that you feel like if they gave you the chance, you would go all out, but you're not necessarily there, and you're like daydreaming about it, or yeah, fantasizing about what it would be like.
Yeah, no, it gets really explicit a little bit.
Yeah.
All these snapshots and all these moments are pieces that will forever live with us. They continue to follow us and continue to shape us, and that's what makes us us, right? That's what creates our identity. Fuck, I forgot. All right, 3, 2, 1. In the question I asked you, you replied, I've been thinking about what truly defines your identity versus the things you genuinely want to do or think about in the present. What was it that you identified as your identity for so long?
I mean, I'm struggling with that because I feel like I'm constantly changing and constantly like shifting, and sometimes it's hard to pinpoint. But I feel like it's more about what I believe is expected of me in terms of like as a person, as an artist, and like how that has changed, or how much am I fitting into that, or ignoring it. You know, for example, like the first music that I ever like publicly or like professionally played with, right, is reggae. Like I listened to a lot of reggae coming up. The first like garage band that I had was a reggae band. We were out there. We met Cultura. I I got into like a lot of artists like hit me up to play with them in reggae bands. I did rap for a while. I mostly did music or genres that were like more socially aware, so to say, or more poetic, or more like real shit. You know what I mean? And like I love that. I feel like it's music that has formed me, has shaped a lot of what I do, or think, etc. But I do also feel that whenever you like, if you're a pop artist or you're whatever type of artist, people don't really expect much from you, just to be entertained and for you to put out shit that they like. And what if you wanna like, I don't know, if Bruno Mars wants to do a whole reggae album, people are gonna be like, "Oh shit, Bruno Mars put out a reggae album, bro!" And then he'll put out a disco album. He's like, "Oh my god, he's in his disco bag! Wow, Bruno, he's a genius!" Right? If Bruno had come out as a reggae dude, or whatever dude, like a KRS-One motherfucker, and then he puts out Silk Sonic, people will be, "Oh, he's a fucking sellout. What the fuck is he doing?" Blah blah. And that's where like I'm at. It's like I don't want to be boxed in just because I did some stuff while I was growing up, while I was trying to find myself, that heavily gravitates towards shit that puts you in a position where like people now expect you to be vocal about this, or not talk about this, don't talk about sex, or don't talk about weed or whatever, because you're supposed to be this beacon of social justice or whatever the fuck, right? And I felt myself even like this, bro, like this fucking bracelet is totally like not even, you know what I mean, like it's not a big deal. I couldn't picture myself wearing something like this for years, because I was like, I wore hemp and artisans shit. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't, like, my identity was too tied into stuff that's very fucking trivial. Like, what the fuck does it matter if I have this fucking thing that cost me fucking less than $30 probably, or I had or I have one that's hemp but it cost me 200, or like, and I felt like it's on my head, but also people definitely put stuff in your head in terms of like expecting things from you because you put yourself out there as this thing. And basically, like, in recent years, I think I struggled with that a lot in in general, in throughout, the time. And in more recent years, I've been like shedding off those layers of like what I'm supposed to be, or what I'm supposed to sound like or do, and being more true to myself, and being acceptive
Accepting. Same thing.
accepting
Same thing. It don't fucking matter.
of the fact that I changed, my guy. Like, I've never had anything against reggaeton, but I wasn't like a reggaeton guy. Like, I wasn't, you know, in our pick, like my generation's pick, when we were like, I don't know, in seventh grade or whatever. It was like the height of Wisin y Yandel, the height of Tego, Don Omar. That was the soundtrack. That was like culturally the soundtrack. So you couldn't get away from it. But I was listening to Slipknot and heavy metal and Bob Marley then after that, and Cultura and salsa and anything but that shit. Like, I wasn't bumping that shit. If that shit was in the club or in the car or whatever, obviously, yeah. But I wasn't bumping that shit. And now I bump that shit, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I straight up, I wanna go to the next Wisin y Yandel concert. Like, I'm trying to go, bro. Like, I'm trying to go see these guys. I'm trying to, like, I bought this shit. Like, I'll go, like last year, my Spotify thingy, one of the genres was reggaeton. I was like, well, my 14-year-old self will be like, what, dude? What the fuck? But that's cool, and I love that about life and about myself, that I'm here, and now I'm here. So it's like that's really been in my head in terms of like, I wanna pursue that feeling. I wanna feel free to explore, even as a person, like mostly as a person, not even like I could give a fuck about the artistry part of it, like whatever. I want to feel comfortable with myself, walking down the street, being in my house, doing what the fuck I want to do.
Why was it so hard for you to accept that change though?
Because I was way too invested in what people thought about me, even if I advertised differently. Yeah, like I paid too much attention to that. I still do sometimes, but I'm just like shedding that cloak, that whatever you want to call it. Like, I'm just trying to be truer to myself, and it's not that I wasn't true to myself, but I was just true to the version of myself I thought I was supposed to be.
So the last question I got for you, we talked about your journey with Cultura, signing with Rimas, the struggles you faced, even what would fulfill you essentially. But I guess the real question is, moving into this new lane of really pursuing what you want to pursue. What is it that's going to make you happy?
I guess what's gonna make me happy is feeling that I'm doing what I'm doing for the right reasons, in terms of like, if you ask me what I'm doing, and like, you could ask me what I'm doing and why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I might give you some answers that essentially are not gonna sit right with me. Because when I psychoanalyze myself later, I'm gonna be like, then it's all about this. And I wouldn't say I'm 100% happy right now, in part because of that. So I guess what would make me happy is like, yeah, like knowing that what motivates me are the right reasons, and that I'm not necessarily being selfish, but I'm doing what I want to do. Like I'm being true to myself.
I think something I skipped over earlier that I do want to ask you about real quick is why you feel like you haven't been the best son.
Because I don't necessarily respond to all my mom's calls, and I feel like that's shitty. Um, I do believe it comes from a place where like for what, like I'm the only person in my house in my family that lives in Puerto Rico. They're all gone. And for a while, like there was a lot that needed to be done, like when my father died, and there was a lot of stuff happening here, and I felt like she, for a while, only hit me up because she needed me to do shit, and I ran away from that, and I guess that stuck with me. Like when I see her calling, it's like, oh shit, she must want something. I can't right now, or I don't want to deal with that shit right now. And it's been a while since that has happened, but I guess like I still, yeah, have, I'm still programmed into believing that. And straight up, like sometimes like I'm always moving around, and I don't have time for long calls, and sometimes I feel like it's not the right time to talk, because would want to talk to her for a while and see how she's doing, tell me about my aunt, tell me about my sister, tell me about the grandkids, tell me about this, that, I'll tell you about this, that. And it's like, this is not the moment. So I'll be like, mommy, oh yo, I'm kind of busy, but what's up? No, nothing. Okay, you want to talk? Then let's talk later. And then later might come in 2 days and shit. And like I do feel like I don't want her to feel like I don't appreciate her, or that I'm an ungrateful child, or I mean, I'm not a child, but you know what I mean. Like, and it sometimes it weighs on me, and yeah, I put it in a song. I talk about that in a song.
Our real last question. How much did the loss of your dad impact you mentally?
I feel like at the beginning I didn't realize. I like shrugged it off. It's not that I didn't care. Obviously I cared, but I just thought I was too strong for it. Like I was like, nice, good. Like I was prepared for it. He was sick for a while. I believe like if he had survived everything, like he wouldn't have been the same. He would have been a really impact. It would have been a big impact on my family and our lifestyle and whatever. So it like logically it made sense that him dying was the best thing for everybody. Like in terms of his not suffering, or he's not looking at himself like, oh shit, like I'm now dependable on everybody type shit. And we're not, everything is not gonna gravitate around that. So that makes sense. But I guess that filled into me believing it hadn't affected me. And I was very angry. I was very angry, and I didn't realize it. But I was acting out on that anger. I became irritated with this littlest thing. I was totally irritated. I wasn't very communicative. I wasn't. I wasn't really being myself, and it took me too long to realize it. I think like a year and a half after he died, where I was like, I was looking back at everything I had done, and I was like, oh shit, I think it's because of my daddy. You know, like, and sorry, I always got a joke. But yeah, I think it's because of that, and more recently, even I want to say maybe a year or two ago, I was talking to a very good friend of mine, and I told him I was opening up about stuff, and I felt like I felt like shit. I felt like I was lacking in terms of like a person, whatever, like an adult. And I felt like, and I realized like, oh shit, like I lost my dad at 24, and like I wasn't a child, but I was still raw. I was still a very young adult trying to navigate. Like I was like got out of college, you know, I'm trying to figure out what the fuck I'm doing with my life, and then this happens, and I feel like the weight of the world came crashing down on me, and I didn't really have necessarily all the skill sets or his guidance to navigate all that. And looking back on everything that I hadn't figured out throughout all these years, it's like, oh, dude, you didn't have a father figure for like a while, and that means something. Like it's not, it doesn't, it does, it not affects you.
And throwing on top of that, you're chasing a career in entertainment, music. I'm sure you were traveling. Like it almost feels like you're running away from having to deal with the real world situations that you were faced with.
And then add to that that maybe I don't have, I'm not equipped with the skill sets to deal with those situations. So
And then your older male figures are people running the same lifestyle that might be dealing with issues that you then find yourself in the position of, such as struggling to balance personal life and work.
but I do gotta shout out the guys because I feel like they're. I mean, it's not like they replaced my dad or anything like that. But I do feel like even indirectly, they showed me a lot of what maybe he would have shown me, or I could have seen in him by just looking at them, by just like seeing how they manage shit. So it definitely helped me in terms of like bridging a gap in that sense.
I appreciate you coming through, man. I appreciate you opening up with us. You got anything you want to plug real quick?
Yeah, my next single's coming out July 25th. It's called Oi. It's gonna be a very nice song, very nice video. Please feel free to check it out. Velas, I put that out recently. The EP is coming out in October, album next year. There's gonna be a lot of shows around that, so just be on the lookout. Social media, Bebo Dumont, in all social medias, Spotify, all that shit. Please like and share with your friends. We're still very much um hand to hand, and so we appreciate, just spreading the love.
Man, make sure you go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. Sad Boys for real. Peace out.
This is Sad Boy Radio.